right now we're in Sylvan Lake at Essence Studio and moving back and forth between Red Deer. We've also played in Delburn, Ackville, Calgary. Alex, yeah. So lots of different places, and it's just beautiful to watch the journey.
Most of my life I've been playing guitar for, since I can remember as a teenager. And I started getting down the yoga path and down meditation, and really, really exploring the meditation aspect of yoga. So I went to India to do like my yoga meditation training there, and I landed in a school called Nada Yoga, which was very strange. I didn't really put it together at the time, but Nada means sound, and so we did traditional Hatha yoga, and in the side we were learning classical Indian scales, playing instruments like sitar and tabla, and mantra, and I just really was like, oh man, this is why I'm here. I'm not here to do yoga. I'm not a yoga teacher, and I shouldn't be. Not very flexible. And the more I was there, I was like, this is a very easy way for me to get into meditation. So I bought a couple Tibetan bowls, as we all do. So I brought a few of these bowls back on the airplane, and then came back, and we had at that time kind of been doing some meditation circle stuff in Red Deer, and so then we're like, well, we should just do sound stuff. It's like, because when you hear a gong, it's one thing. On audio, it's like, it's pretty mysterious. It sounds like space. But when you're playing a gong, and whoa, it's like everything dissolves. It's like you're gone. And then when it comes down, you're like, what was that? And you just feel like, you can feel your body vibrate. It's amazing.
Something that just resonates so deep within yourself. You're just like, okay, there's something more than just the sound. And so then that begins the exploration into the journey of sound and creating and then mixing it together with having the crystal bowls and having gongs. And we really just began to expand with that. With the crystal bowls, I was attending a meditation group that had the crystal bowls, and the person was retiring, and they said, "You are the keeper of the bowls." And I went, "Oh, okay." And that began my journey into that in 2004, and then really just playing with them here and there, and it really, when getting together with Crystal and Branden, getting that opportunity to bring a bigger voice and opportunity to sharing the sound. It's a good variety of people. We even have had children attend, and I'm going to say they come for all sorts of different reasons. We said it was one reason. It's a variety.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many people. Like, there's every walk of life is coming through the door, it seems like, and from people that have never been, and a lot of times people are drugged to these events by their spouse or something. So a lot of people are brand new and have never experienced anything, and they come, and it's like I don't know what that was, but that was cool. that was a good experience. But what people are looking for, I think, is so broad too, because we have some people that are, it's a good way for them to relax and to really let go in a nice space. I like the music part, so like if I was going to one of these, I'm like, I just want to be in the music and sing in a group, in a community, and that to me would be a draw. I think everybody likes to go to concerts and to enjoy music, live music especially, together. And this is kind of a mysterious way to do that. There's a bit of a attraction to the mystery of the gong, or the rab drum that looks like a UFO. And like, we have so many strange looking instruments that I think it's interesting. And that's kind of, as yoga starts to get more popular, this starts to get more attention. And when people come and they have a good experience with it, and they find like sound is a good way to get into meditation or a good way to let go and relax. I think that's what keeps people coming back. But I think it's kind of like a mysterious thing that gets people like attracted to these kind of events. And yeah,
absolutely, it's a great question. I love how Branden says it's kind of like this mystery. You've had an experience of something changed or shifted, or you just noticed that your mind, it wasn't as busy as when you first came into the room, and you have these different experiences of different sounds. So you're intrigued, and so you want to come back and revisit that and have whatever that experience, whether it's relaxation or if you had a physical sensation or emotional. We've had where tears have come through in a sound meditation, because that sound's just meeting them where they're in that moment and that experience. So when they have that, there's kind of that, I want to go and have another one of those experiences. Yet it's different every single time. It's not something that can be repeated. So it's just like this beautiful meeting of the moment. And we're just so blessed to be able to share the gift of sound in that, to have the reason for an uptake. I'm going to say curiosity. There's so much that's coming out in sound in so many different ways. So I really feel it's like a curiosity that's coming, and yeah.
Things are softening. It doesn't we're seeing more men come to these sound meditations too, which is nice to see. It's like it's nice to in this space. I think we try our best to create a safe space where people can be vulnerable. And whatever happens there for that individual, I think is really up to them. So if they're here for relaxation, they can do that. If they're trying to heal some emotional stuff and go through it, then it's like we will create a space, a good space for them to move through that stuff. So when even see more men come, it's like, well, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay, and it's okay to sing together. It's okay to get together and step out of your comfort zone and to sing and enjoy it and explore it. Kids have a natural ability to play, and they're not there to hurt the gong. They've always played it very well. So, I've had my kids doing it for so long, and I guess I just trust kids to. Sometimes they might go a little too much, but if you just. They know, because the gongs will tell you right away if that was too hard of a hit, and they are usually like, yeah, okay, whoa, too much. So,
do you allow other people to play as well?
My gongs, yeah, I invite people to come, and as long if they're coming from a good space and they're not gonna bash the gong like they would see on TV, I'm like, yeah, come experience it, because it is. I don't know. Gongs are still getting out there, and the gong sound is still, it's still coming up. So, when I first heard a gong, I was blown away. That's all I wanted to do after I heard that. So I'm like, for other people, and I wanted to play it too, but I was too scared to ask. So now when people come up and they're like, can I play it? I'm like, you should try this. Just be gentle, but try it. And it's pretty cool. Like even yesterday, like these people are coming off the beach hitting a gong, and they're having like that's a whole nother thing. And especially listening to it from afar to hearing it close, and you can feel that resonance, and you're like, oh yeah, like that's what it's about for me. Practice.
I'm going to say a little bit of all of that. But Branden is definitely practice, and really coming in and listening because many times we can get in the mind. I know that can happen for myself. And then really just allowing, and it's a place of surrender, allowing for the crystal bowl or the rap or the drum or whatever. It's just really just to move through and allow for that sound and creation to be birthed, so to speak, from that space of allowing. Yet there is a little bit of that organization, I'm going to say, in regards to what we're bringing out and sharing.
And like practice as in like know your instruments. Like I want to know my instruments. So when I'm reaching for a sound, I know how hard, what volume I'm going to get. And just the more we play, the easier we're allowed to improv and pull sounds out as we're starting to think of what's coming next and being in that flow. So it's, the practice piece for me has just always been a big part, because I want to be, these are extension of me. So then it's like we can really dial things in and really do some good work the more we're familiar with these instruments. And I kind of have an idea. So we like to prepare our sound meditations so that they just have a certain flow. So they're going to start somewhere and they're going to kind of transition and move, along the evening. So we get together and we practice certain sets. There's certain things that we kind of have, we know what we're going to do, but in those sets, it's going to be very malleable. So you can, with the rav drum, that rhythm may change as the feel in the room. Because sometimes what we think we were going to move from this set to here is just not feeling right. So we'll move into whatever else is calling for us. And then that creates, that's kind of neat, because with two people, we need to be on the same page. So if we were just both doing that, it would be pretty chaotic. So when that does happen, there is a shift. There's a bit of communication between us. And because we've been playing for a while, we're usually pretty quick to adjust to each other and to move well with each other, to dance with the sound. Is that you can't recreate the same thing every time, and that's the beauty of it. And the gong is something that needs to kind of got to coax the sound out. I do. That's how I play. I coax it out gently, and I slowly build it up and watch it in its infancy, starting to intertwine and tangle and start to create those sounds. And then, the gongs will just start making music. And if you're patient, if I'm patient and really listening, that's when the gongs really start to come out, and they're kind of singing a song, and I'm just in it, and sometimes they want it to last longer, and it just stops, and that's just as much as they want it to do. And other times it's really going and really intense, and you're like, okay, here we are. So it's just kind of gongs for me. The more I'm listening, paying attention, the sweeter their sounds are, and I can just kind of facilitate their voice for them.
The relationship begins with that instrument. Relationship, actually, I'm going to say, begins with yourself. Really, where are you at in that moment, and what you're creating. And then when you're in partnership with other or playing with someone else, it's then that cohesiveness, the listening, to, I'm going to say many times, the unspoken words can just be, okay, he's Branden's playing a gong at this particular point, and now I'm moving into with the crystal bowls in a different way than what was going to be. So it's that, I'm going to say, that intuition and that trust in regards to the person that you're playing with, that trust in your instruments, the trust in what's unfolding, and that, I'm going to say, echoes out into relationships with others. Many of the people that come to the sound meditations, there's a relationship of what they're experiencing, and they keep coming back for whatever that which I'm going to say is relationship that we've built along with them, because they've had that sense of that. What Branden said earlier, that place of safety. They feel, I'm just safe here to be in an experience of whatever's going to happen here this evening or in that meditation. So, but there was a lot of practices that were happening in the room to really, I'm going to say, hone the music that we were creating and the sound that we were creating in that. And that took time of, what sounds, what gongs, what crystal bowls, what's really this relationship between what we're creating and bringing that all together. And that took patience, practice.
So we've got a lot of instruments, and you'll see tonight. So we have a bunch of crystal bowls and a bunch of gongs. If we were just to have a bowl solo and a gong solo going on all the time, it would be chaotic. So we have we have to really listen and really just dance with each other. And we've, so I know what note each one gong is, and so does Bettina. And then we know the same for her bowl. So she can start to play the bowls that correspond with the gongs I'm playing at the time. And that way it's really, they support, the sounds are supporting each other, and it's not just free for all gongs. So there's like, so again, I guess the more you know your instruments, the more creative power I think effective sound you can make too, which is kind of neat.
Harmony that happens, which is a relationship with, going back to the question you were asking, that relationship with yourself, relationship with the bowls when you're working with others, and really just in that space even. It's actually pretty awesome.
If we were to use sound as a meditation, we would sit down and just listen to the sounds. Whether it's the cars or sirens going off, you just allow the sounds to come and just allow them to be there. So we're not trying to alter the soundscape. We're just allowing ourselves to just be aware of it, and just awareness of the sounds, whether it's snoring or whether it's a hard cling. We do our very best to keep sharp sounds. If we use sharp sounds, it's very short. If we bring the gongs up to the degree where they're really intense, they're very small time frames, but we do that. But we just kind of got to roll with it.
Moves in and go. We've dropped a rattle here or there, or things that happen, and just like if you focus on it, it's like, then it becomes this big thing. If it's just part of that, okay, pick it up and then continue, and you find that pulse or rhythm.
And giving people that space, for allow things to, I think again, I go back to the patience thing, but allowing things to just develop without rushing them. The second we rush anything in life, they usually don't turn out great. And that's the same with relationships. It's like things need to develop on their own time, and they require attention at those smallest levels, not the big things. Sometimes it's just listening really carefully, or just really hearing what the person's saying, maybe feeling what they're trying to get across. Okay, so when we're singing and something's out of tune, it doesn't take long before it's back in tune. So even if dissonance comes, it's like, if you don't focus on it, and that's not the primary focus, it's like things will come back. And it's like, everything starts to find its place. So dissonance, although unpleasant, trying to stop something like that will just probably, if all your attention is on the dissonance, that's all you're hearing. But if the dissonance is the 1% of the larger picture, the harmony is the bigger picture. So once we're focused on the harmony, the dissonance will subside or get into harmony. And I think when we're singing and somebody's really worried about their voice, it's like, even if you're nervous, it's going to be dissonant at the start. We're all just warming up, but as soon as you let that go and everybody's harmonized. It doesn't take very long, and then everybody sounds so good and everything sounds so perfect. It's like every voice belongs when we're all singing together, and it's like, just because you think it's dissonant, just give it time. Well, especially at the end, like it holds that sacredness of the whole event to me. It's like clapping disrupts it. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, now it's about clapping. What if you don't do anything but sit and marinate in it? You're like, this is enough. This is enough. I don't have to reward it. This is enough. And that's what I think is kind of the beauty of all this stuff. And then in the sound baths, like silence is what everything comes out of. So like ultimately we're just trying to get back to that, if we could. You know, that's where I think it would be the goal if there was one. And it's like everything's coming out of the silence. And we're kind of watching sounds, you know, come up and disappear back into it. Coming out and disappearing back in. And that's, the silence is kind of like the substance. That's the, you know, that's the ever-pervading thing that's always there, and sound's coming out of that. That's kind of, yeah, super important. We got out on the pier and we were playing with the waves lapping on the shore. Kids playing in the background, seagulls flying, and it was cool. It was amazing. You know, and I mean, like when you're playing the gongs, when I'm playing the gongs, I lose touch of everything else. Nothing really is my awareness is very much focused on the gongs. So as I can, you know, the gongs' voice are coming up, and it's shiny and beautiful and complex, and then things kind of settle down, then I can hear the lapping of the waves. I'm like, oh yeah, like the waves need a voice right now. And then the seagulls come in, it's like, oh, it's not just me. This is me in harmony with where I'm at. And again, it's just like out there, it wasn't just me playing gongs. The seagulls were gonging. They're just doing their seagull gong, you know, and the kids playing in the background, you know, that was amazing. It was like hearing kids laugh and people were walking around was, which I would have thought would be distracting, but it added to the whole thing. It was neat. It wasn't just me playing gongs. It was me like in harmony, trying to be in harmony with, you know, everything around me at that time. The highlight of these sound meditations for me is singing. And everybody can do it. And everybody sings. And most people are scared to sing in public. I certainly was. I probably still am. And it's like, that's the part I find that's, for me, has been the quickest way. Chanting mantra has been the quickest way to get into meditation. And when we talk about what drives people together, community, we get together and we sing. And there's no time when we're more bonded, when we're all singing the same song, and it's like, oh man, that's like, let's do this all night. So yeah, I think for anybody that's, you know, you don't need a gong, but you need to become a gong. You need to sing, you need to project, you need to create some way. Your voice is one of the best.